Well, hi, and welcome back to the house where evil dwells. I left off with wild dogs. We weren't called wild dogs quite yet. We hadn't come up with a name, but we were sending demos down to Mike Barney to get onto his compilation series after I saw J.J. Jackson say, "Get a pen and write down this address." And we sent him a tape, and we didn't have a name for a band. We weren't really a band. We didn't have a picture. And so he liked the music. And then we had Brian, what's his name? Brian, our lighting guy for Wild Dogs. Anyway, Brian took pictures of us with Jamie at the old Oregon Journal building. That was funny. I'll show you the picture. Now, I didn't have any clothes, but I was wearing Dan-skin tights. Oh, quite tasty. And a leather jacket. And I had a baseball bat. And short hair. And we got there, and this other photographer was taking shots of they're tearing the place down. It was like a decrepit mansion. And it was the old Oregon Journal building in Goose Hollow. It's not there now. Of course, like everything else in Portland, it's all torn down. But this guy comes over and says, "Hi, I'd like to take your picture." And the band says, "Okay." He says, "No, the interesting-looking fellow with a baseball bat, come over here." And so I said, "Okay." I must have looked the part. He said, "Pose for me." So I posed, and then the photo was he said, "It's for a contest and a photo exhibit, and you'll be in it, and I will contact you." And he won. My picture won first prize in this contest. And he later gave me the picture back, framed and mounted with the ribbon on the picture. Pretty cool. And everybody else thought they were going to get their picture taken. That kind of set up a dynamic with the band. Jeff, I think, really didn't like me getting all the attention. But look at me now. Look at me now. I'm the one always going for the attention. So it's natural. And so we sent him a picture, and Mike Barney didn't think we were the greatest looking guys in the world. And so we didn't need to be. Nobody ever toured. The band and his label never played gigs, it seemed like. Or at least I didn't know about it. So we had been recording with Jamie, and Mike Barney chose the Tonight Show, written by Danny Kurth, as a song that's going to be on the album. A compilation. It had Culprit, Lamons, I can't remember, Brad Gillis, and somebody else, their Guitar Assault thing. The guitar player for Night Ranger. And our first gig was with Mike Barney's band Cinema. And in between the bands, this one guy came out in a powder blue spandex bodysuit and would play just by himself. I asked years later, I said, "Who was that guy?" Because they got it on MTV. He goes, "Oh, that was Brad Gillis. He's in Night Ranger." Oh, I saw Night Ranger open for Motorhead at the old Waldorf in 1981 on the Ace of Spades tours. They had some side dates when they weren't working with Ozzy. And this was one of those nights. And Mick Zane, sorry, your stage name. Mick Zane and I went down to Kip Doran's house, and he lived in Santa Rosa. So we took a couple trips down to the city, San Francisco, and saw Squeeze on the 4th of July, and G.E. Smith, at the old Waldorf, and I saw a sign when I came in. It was written on cardboard, just like a cardboard box. It said Motorhead Monday, like $4. I go, we got to come back for this. Why? I go, because Motorhead's awesome. And so we went back, and I was the only one slam dancing. I had a big, huge space around me. I had this tiger shirt on. Yeah, the tiger shirt in this picture. And I had a wristband that I bought in San Francisco on this trip. And had another one that I bought here at the Leatherworks. And Frank took a shine to me. So when we went in for Wild Dogs gear, Jeff always made the point to say, he always measures my inseam, even if I'm not going for pants. Well, what do you expect? It's an S&M shop, man. They had no clue what it was. I did. But, yeah, Rob Halford got some gear made there, and his picture was autographed on the wall. And anyway, so we're watching Motorhead. We go back and saw Motorhead. Bill Hale was there, Brian Lew, KJ Down, all the heavy metal early guys that made Metallica famous were there at this gig. I didn't know any of them then. I met a lot of them about a year later when we played at the old Waldorf. No, we played at Stone. I'm sorry. I'm at the old Waldorf. I'm sorry. I've been working out, playing basketball at the top of the hill, on top of Portland, Oregon, at Healy Heights Park. It's really awesome. Got the place to myself, and it's cool. It's not hot and boiling or super bright, so I'm happy. Anyway, back to the story. So U.S. Metal Volume 2 comes out, and we get a whole bunch of responses, and Barney said, you guys are getting a lot of letters. And we didn't get them. They went to the label, Shrapnel. And I said, you know, Mike, you've done 2 compilations, and you're going to do a 3rd one. You should pick the band with the best response and do a whole album with the band, see what happens. I used to talk to Mike a lot, I mean, so much every night. When the phone bill, the long distance bill, you remember long distance used to cost a bunch? And well, my mom, I lived with my mom till like 19, 20, and this phone bill is, how am I going to pay this? I don't know. Cheaper than college. So he said, well, you've got half an album already recorded, and you've got some money coming from this compilation album, about $600. See if you can work a deal with a studio to record 4 more songs, and we'll put the record out. I'll pay for the photography and the cover and the mastering and the pressing, and you guys handle the recording, and we'll do it. And so we did. And that's how our first album came about. Meantime, Malice moved to Los Angeles with those guys. DEEN didn't go. No, they were drug dealers. That's how they made their money. That's how they got their deals. And DEEN wasn't into that stuff. And so he didn't join Malice and move. So he stayed around, and I got this call, hey man, I want to come, can I come and audition? And Black and Blue had moved to Los Angeles at this time. I mean, Jamie's drums were in Danny's basement where we practiced. So I said, yeah, you got a drum set to play, just come up and play. And chocolate milk and cookies. It's the essence of good. And so he comes up from Salem, Oregon, about 30 miles away, forgets his sticks, and sits down on Jamie's kit. The heads are pristine, not a dent on them, not a dent in the cymbals. That's what it said. Oh, well, probably ghosts. Ghosts or aliens. They come here. It's my portal. Hi. I'll take a number. I'll be right with you. So they sits down, and he had our demo for a while, so he already knew all the 5 songs. And so we played, I think, like Life is a Game and Born to Rock and I Need Love and Tonight Show and what's that other one? 2 wrongs, so need a right, make it right, yeah. And so he breaks, he dents the heads really bad because Dean played really hard. He still does, man. You know, I'm sure if you're a bad person in real life, you'll be reincarnated as an Evans drumhead and be on Dean's drum set. So we get through about 4 of the 5 songs, and he kicks the bass drum head in. He punches right through it, and he didn't bring a pedal. He just used a single bass pedal. And Jamie had what they called a ghost pedal. If you're a drummer, you remember these pedals from the 70s. They were really heavy duty. And he poked a hole in the drum head, and he also broke the footboard in half. It's metal. He totally destroyed the snare, broke the head on both sides, I think. Cracked 2 cymbals, vintage Zildjian cymbals, and all the rest of the tom heads were just toast. And he goes, "Okay, I gotta go, man. Hey, I gotta go. Call me." I go, "Okay." So I go, I was just blown away because we went and saw him a bunch of times since then. I played with him with Jay with the Malice demos, and he's just amazing. He had this huge Tama drum set. So Jeff is like, "Oh, no, he's not the right guy. No, he's not the right guy. No." I go, "What don't you like about him?" And he goes, "Well, he's too fat." Never bothered me. He plays too loud, which never bothered me. He overplays, which totally never bothers me. He's young. He was 17. Jeff was 26. And he said, and he makes too many jokes. We'll never be able to control him. And I thought, sounds perfect to me. And Danny's just looking at this ruined drum set like he's looking at the ruins of a nuclear city that had been bombed. Like, so once he closed his mouth, he goes, "He's a good drummer, but what am I going to tell Jamie?" I don't know. Tell him what happened. Those guys were never any good at actually telling the truth. They kind of, Trump must have taken lessons from him. Just tell him what happened. Tell him we had Dean come up and play, and he slaughtered the drum set. And that'll teach Black and Blue to move to L.A. But I forced Dean into the band because I knew we would go someplace with him because I wanted to play with him because he was just inspiring. Anytime I'm around him when he plays drums, even my girlfriend, who really is not into music, when she's been places that we practice, she goes, Dean doesn't need a band. He's the only drummer that actually plays music, not just drums. And I get it. I know what she's talking about. And so we had some new songs, worked it out with Dean. I worked a deal with the recording studio so we could record there. We pretty much had free reign of the place after we did the second session. They really liked us. And they made more studio classes because of us. And we did the album, sent the tape off, went down to Salem to get our picture taken. And the guy that played Jaws in James Bond, that big tall guy, can't remember his name, but his picture was on the wall of this photo studio. I thought that was, here's a strange place to be. So we shot the cover, and then we went back down there to pick which picture we liked. And I said, that's the album cover. That's for the first album cover. No, we should have a painting of some dog. And I go, no, we look cool. We should be the cover. Then they won't say, you guys don't look like a cartoon dog. You look like that. And that's what happened. We had pressed for time, like always. Jeff was always late. So that became our album cover. So by the time Raina's Hair came around, they put the painting of the dog on there. People seem to like that album best, but I don't know, they should have changed their name. I had to change my name when I became Dr. Mastermind. So we did that album, played gigs in Portland, Seattle. After the first gig we did in San Francisco with Culprit from Seattle and Mike Barney's band Cinema, Culprit, Scott Earl, the bass player, he tried out for Metallica and played a band called Bang Gang with the drummer from Chris Newman's band, The Untouchables, in L.A., in Los Angeles. And so just goes to show what a small world music is. And we go up to play Seattle like 2 weeks later. And the people know all the songs like they did in San Francisco. It just blew me away. KJ Downton, who became Metallica's fan club man. You can see his name on the back of the first early vinyl of Metallica in Roseburg, Oregon. He had a magazine called Northwest Metal Magazine. I think I was one of the first people to get interviewed by him. But he was at our San Francisco show, and Brian Liu, all these guys that Harold Oyman knows. Harold wrote a photo book called Murder in the Front Row about thrash in the Bay Area. It's really good. I had him on my podcast a while back. He's really an interesting guy. And we know so many people, especially the mentors. But we went to Seattle, and we got booked again there by a guy named Craig Cook. And we went up and played with, on Halloween, TKO. No, that was the first one, TKO, with Brad Sinsel and Evan Shealy and Adam Baum on guitar. And Culprit was there, and forget who else. The next time we played there, Jeff Tate's band called Myth was the opening band. No, like right before us. He was a nice guy. And can't remember who else, but it set up a whole bunch of, about 5 good gigs up in Seattle. Great town. I love Seattle. Seattle, I love you, man. Portland kind of was the last place we played. And then when we played there, they all claimed that they were the people right behind us. But, we were on the radio quite a bit with Born to Rock, with the KGON homegrown album. We were on that compilation also. And they played our song, Born to Rock, my song. And a lot. Even Bill Prescott played that on Closet Classics. I'm a closet classic. Well, look how I'm dressed, man. So, and we're going pretty good. But, Jeff was from a certain group of people who were kind of uppity and were asinine, and they said, you need a new singer. You're not getting the girls. But all the guys in the crowd were going nuts. And we are having no problem getting people to show up at the shows. Until Metallica really made it big. Then all of a sudden, nobody's there. It's not cool to like Wild Dogs anymore. And to be honest, the guys were too much interested into, and basically Danny and Jeff interested in the high school girls that were there instead of the guys, instead of getting the fan base. And this started with the first record. I was a big guy, not fat. As you can tell from a picture, I'm not fat at all. I'm athletic. I'm a football guy. But Mike Barney had inscribed on the concentric, the plastic ring around between the last song and the paper on a record, a LP, a vinyl record. It says, Matt minus 20 pounds. So the joke later became, I was 20 pounds from superstardom. 20 pounds is nothing, man. You can beat that out in a week and a half. But back then, I didn't know what I know now about nutrition, metabolic physics, and I just know how to do it. Now I'm 100 pounds lighter and in the best shape of my life. Seriously. Don't judge it by my mouth. That's the leftover from the stroke. Anyway, so they decided, they're going to, all these people, hey, you should get rid of Matt and get a different singer. So they don't listen to their gut. They listen to their friends. And they did. So they tried a number of people locally, but nobody has the same panache, charisma. I remember Dean's mom saying, man, you just whip the crowd to a frenzy, like you put your arm up, they all put their arms up, and you got to not do that. And I go, why not? It works. And so I wrote that into the back of the liner notes of the album. A band comes from out of nowhere, full of charisma and blah, blah, blah. Didn't like that too. It's just weird. They tell you to be confident, and then when you are, they mistake it for being cocky. I just was never interested in having to get the groupies. I had a very gorgeous woman that was my girlfriend, and she was actually I met her on a tour bus, Van Halen's tour bus in 1982 after our first gig, and we just kind of clicked. And had the same records. It was great. I loved Angie. She was a great woman. But if you're around people too often, too much, for too many years, everybody grows irritable. So she died last week of August, and so I'm sorry. I was very sorry to hear that. So rest in peace, Ange. You were great. I'm so glad we met. So I could care less about the girls. I never cared about that. I just was there to rule the world, make as many friends as I can, and make as many fans as I can. So they didn't have the guts to tell me, hey, we're going to do this. No, what they did was we had a manager guy who worked for Journey. Kind of ironic, huh? Dean plays a Journey. I put these info sheets out on the tables at the old Waldorf. Well, old Waldorf. No. That's why I couldn't say it. I put them out at the Stone Club, Keystone on Broadway. Yeah. Nope, I'm not high. I'm nothing. I'm just fresh out of bed, fresh out of workout. I'm doing this. I'm probably a little tired. But we are the Stone. I put these sheets on the tables, and I get a call from this guy, and he says, hi, I'm blah, 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 and I do work for Journey, and I want to manage you. Oh. Okay. That's great. So he helped a little bit, and later on they decided to get a different singer, and there's a 2-night gig with Black and Blue and Night Ranger at the Keller Auditorium in Portland. I go the first night, and Ken's working the lighting for Night Ranger. Did I say Night Ranger? Yeah, Night Ranger and Black and Blue. And so I go down and have a meeting the first day, and we discuss all this strategy. He has no idea that they're getting a new singer. Next night, and that night, I went with Kip and his friend and Angie, and we were doing a bunch of blow and having a great time. And next night, and the rest of my band guys weren't there, so they come the next night, and we go both nights. And so me and Angie are waiting at the backstage door in the auditorium, and all these guys come. Well, there's my bandmates, and there's one extra guy, and he's skinny, got long hair, and I'm friendly, joking around like I always do. And we had to wait for about 20 minutes for this guy, and we get on the tour bus to have our meeting. And I get on first and go to the back of the bus, and I'm sitting back there, and Jeff gets on last with this other guy, and everybody wasn't looking at me. So he introduces, hi, I'm Jeff, the guitar player, and this is our new singer. I said, ha, 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 good, you made it funny, ha, ha, ha. He goes, no, that's what's happening. You could have told me and saved me the trouble of having to come down here and listen to Night Ranger twice. I didn't mind listening to Black and Blue. I love that band. They're great. Jamie's great. They have good songs. But when Night Ranger goes into Sister Christian, blah, 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 the only thing I like about them was the drummer is up front. And we did a show. The singer didn't work out, and so they asked me back. Meanwhile, I had another group called Evil Genius that was making my songs for the third album, recording them. We demoed the whole album. We made that's on the Before and After Dr. Mastermind album CD, and because nobody was taking my song serious, then I realized why, because they're planning on getting somebody different. So I rejoined the band, do a couple of gigs, and I do the whole road manager thing. I just have a thing about it. I go to a city, I can go into the promoters, I can come out with a bag of this and a bag of that, a case of this and a case of that, and it's all good. We're all happy. The crew is happy. And we did a show in Sacramento with Yngwie and Rising Force, when Jeff Scott Soto was singing, on the Marching Out tour. And Talus with Billy Sheehan. And I knew Yngwie from when he lived at Mike Barney's house. And so I pull up behind his bus, and I go on the bus, and I go, hi, I'm Dr. Mastermind. And you know me. Oh, yeah. And we talk and say, hey, what are you saying? I said, we don't have a place yet. He goes, come with me. I'll get you a great room. And he did, man. He got me poolside, deluxe accommodations at the same hotel they stayed at. And it was for like $20 because they rented out the whole floor. So I'm in the pool with Marcel, the bass player from Rising Force. Yngwie comes out and says, come on, guys, let's go to the stand check. Matt, come on, come too. So I go with Angie. We get a short case of Henry's Weinhardt beer, ale, and sit down and prepare to be entertained for 4 hours. I love Yngwie's sound checks. So then Talus gets up there, and the promoter says, maybe we don't have room for you, and we're running out of time. I go, no, we want to play the show. It's this great theater, and called the Crest Theater in Sacramento, with balconies. It's like a miniature version of the Paramount Theater. And I said, no, look, we'll put the drums up front, like Night Ranger, and then the guitar player, me, and the bass player will line up that way. Come on, let's do it. Okay. They said, we'll pay you to not play. I go, after we play, you probably buy your money back anyway, but no, let's do it. He goes, yeah, okay, we can work with that. So we did. And then they're going to go have a meeting with the manager guy. And I said, I'm not missing anybody's show. So I didn't go to the meeting. And August comes around, and we got a gig in Portland with DEEN on his birthday. And I get all these calls from publicist guys and magazines and stuff, and these guys go, hey, what's the deal? I thought you were back in the band. I go, well, I was. Well, I just got a press release that says that they got this guy, he's a new singer. Oh, so I call the manager up, and I go, well, why? Didn't tell you? I go, no. He goes, well, it'd be pointless to do any more shows with the group because you're not going to be the singing. Oh, so I call everyone up, call Jeff first. Oh, no, that's not what's going to happen. No, just show up Friday. I called DEEN, I called Danny, I called Taylor, the roadie, and I called back the manager, and I go, they're telling me, no, that's not the deal. He said, you're lying. I go, God, my life has been a Trump story anyway, right? So Ari Boner was here, my friend, the guy I played with Tom Pegg in his first bands, and he's from Switzerland. He's got this Swiss accent. He goes, dude, do the show, but don't do the show. I go, what do you mean? Well, if they're not going to be honest with you, don't be honest with them. Show up like everything's cool. Go out on stage when all the fog comes up before the singing starts. Go out there and say, thank you, good night, and leave. I go, I got a better idea. Let's get as many people in for free. I'll do that and go back. This is when I first moved to the Villa. And so it wasn't very far from downtown. I said, I'll go back to the Villa. You guys wait for about 20 minutes, and then one by one go ask for your money back because I'm not there. And make a big deal of it. We made $140 on refunds from people who got in free. Damn, I'm smart. And they weren't happy about that. Jeff especially. But and that's how I kind of sailed out of the Wild Dogs. The next day, Steve Hanford, better known as Slayer Hippie, the Slayer Hippie, calls me up and says, Matt, that was so punk rock. You want to be our singer in Mayhem? I go, yeah. Okay, come over at 3 o'clock. We're rehearsing. So I go there. Never heard it. The band played with us a lot, but I never played it. I never saw the bands that were on the same bill. I always came before our set. And it worked out. We did an album, and I got in the Dr. Mastermind deal in between times there, and I left the Villa in April and moved to my mother-in-law's house. It was a houseboat on the Columbia River. It was pretty cool. And so these guys would come out and pick me up. And anyway, I did Dr. Mastermind and Mayhem, Burned Alive. And then things just kind of, it was about 1986. I became a cocaine dealer. I went over to buy some pot from this guy, and he said, here, have an ounce of coke, sell it, and you owe me this much money. I'll come for it on Wednesday. You know, it's Friday night. Just give people a little bit. It'll sell. And boy, it was really good. I didn't really do it back then at all. I did then. And that's kind of what happened there. The album came out on Roadrunner, CBS, Sony, and Shrapnel. Went to #1 in Europe. And Kurt James on guitar, who took in bass place. And part of the deal was getting Mike Varney said, "Hey, can you get Dean to play?" Because he liked the Evil Genius songs, but he didn't like the players. He goes, I have access to great players. Let's use one of them. So Kurt James was the guy that took Yngwie's place in Steeler and plays just like him. I go, cool. I rewrote the lead parts to accommodate a classical style player, and bingo, we are off. And I look like an angry cross-dresser. But, yeah, that album's not legal in 4 states in the USA. No, that takes up from, I think, where I picked up and left off is where it goes. So thank you for listening. Go to usmetal.com. And if you scroll down, you'll see a banner that says bands. Click that, and you'll see all the 15 bands I've done stuff with, and there's more. And I haven't updated it for a while, but there's more stuff. I've released 48 albums since 1980. So my throat's getting a little tired. I'm going to get going, and I'm glad about the Oasis reunion. Yeah! So see you later. Vote for Kamala. Don't vote for Trump.